#1 Hennessy fan, right? So I always been a Hennessy fan. I've been wanting to work with Hennessy for a while. And I think it happened because my brother met this dude, Dan, that worked with Hennessy. And he just kept telling him, like, yo, my brother would like die to work with them. So they finally got in touch with us and we worked with them for Chinese New Year earlier this year for the Boogie release. And it went well. We were doing like a live stream cooking event. We did a recipe for lion's head meatballs, and then they brought us back for the Mid Autumn Moon Festival, and we're doing all kinds of stuff with Hennessy. It's been great.
Awesome, man. So tell me about, growing up in LA. How how much an impact did that have on your adulthood? Everything molded you up to being the man you are today.
Word. I actually grew up in DC. I was there for like 9 years, then Orlando for about 11 years. And I mean, that move from DC to Orlando really was the turning point in my life because I had grown up in a very diverse city, with all kinds of people. And DC is not only diverse in terms of just color, but it's diverse in terms of class, money. Like, you get diplomats' children, from all kinds of countries, but then you also have Southeast DC, so
Mm.
you get a little bit of everything. And I never actually felt that weird in DC. I had run-ins in school where, people say things about Chinese people or like teachers had issues, but overall it was manageable. But when I went down to Florida, it was it was crazy. They weren't ready for Chinese people, you know,
Mm.
and we wasn't ready for them. And it was a much more like monoculture or just lack of culture. And I remember I had a college professor that said, "What's the difference between Orlando and yogurt?" And he's like, "Yogurt has culture." And
Wow.
I think that was totally true. It was devoid of anything. And I kind of just, I really struggled in Orlando. I really did. I really struggled to find my identity out there.
Okay. Now, with the whole Hennessy collaboration, what do you want the fans to know about it? Like, some key highlights, something that they wouldn't expect from you, from your brand.
Well, I think it's not that they wouldn't expect it, but I did what people always expect me to do, which is this is a Chinese holiday, the Mid Autumn Moon Festival that we celebrate. But I brought in a lot of my friends from different walks of life with different proximities to Asian identity. So, me and Olivia participating, we played mahjong, we ate mooncakes, we drink a Hennessy XO. Me and Olivia is from Chinese families, but then Patia, who joined us, she's black and Filipino, and then Devin is black, but he grew up like around Asians in Asian neighborhoods, and his girlfriend is Asian. Devin is kind of like honorary in the Asian community. He also, for his art gallery piece, did that Asian meme, the ballless life kid with the crossover, and it was like, you know Devin has kind of, because of his work and then just because of where he's at, he's part of the like LA Asian community in a lot of ways. And then he was part of the New York Asian community. Like I met him at a book reading and he would come in at Bauhaus and hang out with my brother all the time. So I picked these friends to come play Mahjong and do this, video for Hennessy because all of us have a different proximity to Asian identity. Devin himself is not Asian at all, but all of us have a love for it, the culture, the values, the community. And I wanted people to understand that progress isn't just about like getting your own people on board, but it's about sharing the wisdom and values with other communities so that they can find a voice or like they can actually appreciate yours as well. You know, it's a little different. I look at it this way because Asians have a little bit more like disposable income. We usually have higher like salaries compared to like other minorities and immigrant groups in this country. I've always felt a responsibility to be like, hey, we can be leaders in the coalition, so to speak, of Black, Latinx, everyone in the margins. we have the ability to provide opportunity to many people. And the moon harvest to me is about reaping what you sow. It's the fall harvest. So all the hard work you did in the spring, planting the seeds, growing things, you come to harvest that in the fall. And while this may sound like a huge, big idea, I really did think this for this event. I was like, I would like people to see that even when we're celebrating Asian holidays, at least in America, I would like to bring people from other communities with me to eat and win and harvest, because I think that can be our contribution in many ways to this American tapestry. You know, like the politics of, let's say, the Black community or Latin community as it pertains to gentrification is probably much different than the Asian one, right? Like,
Right.
we own a lot of our buildings. We're our own landlords. We have full Chinatowns that, you know, we have our defenses. There's crappy landlords in Chinatown that are selling off our buildings and stuff, just like in any community. You got
Right.
those guys, you know, just selling your community under the table. But for the most part, on an individual level, we do, like, if you look at the numbers, slightly better than other minority immigrant groups. We're still very oppressed. We lack representation in media. We lack opportunity to speak and have a voice in America. We lack protection. You know, as you saw in Corona, a lot of us got attacked. But my philosophy, my vision, and my heart is to say, look, it's still very important that we engage other communities and include them and provide opportunity and open our door, like when we got something to eat. And like for the moon harvest, we got things to eat. And I had a Hennessy deal. So I was like, I'm gonna bring my friends from other communities and just show that, like, at least in my heart and mind, I would like for more people to participate in Asian culture, you know.
Amen. And you speak about culture, and I'm thinking about in terms of COVID, how that affected everybody, more so you guys a little bit in terms of people, you know, not knowing how to, you know, especially you guys close a lot of businesses. I mean, that's every culture. They pretty much lost a lot of business. What would you say for people that want to come back, to those restaurants, that, you know, want to frequent in the Asian community? I'm from New York. Chinatown is huge. I'm in Brooklyn as well. There's a Chinatown in Brooklyn as well. So it's like people are slowly coming back. But what would you say to those who are like hesitant to come back, but wanting to get involved as well?
Yeah, oh, word, you live in Sunset Park.
Yeah.
That's what's up. I love Sunset Park. But you know, I would say, you know, it's very important right now. It's hard because a lot of, you know, I will say one thing. Number one, Hennessy has this unfinished business program, and they've given over $5 million to Black, Latinx, Asian businesses to get back on their feet. And that is something I'm really happy about. And one of the reasons why I do want to work with Hennessy is because they do things like this. Number two, though, we get outside of the Hennessy conversation. There is a law that Uber and DoorDash and these companies are trying to repeal right now. And full disclosure, I've done Grubhub, DoorDash ads. They're lovely people that I've worked with, but this is completely wrong that they are suing New York to lift the cap on fees for delivery. So there are many things I could address in this interview about helping businesses get back on their feet, but the one that I would like to address is the delivery fees. They eat into restaurants sometimes up to like 40% of what the restaurant is making. So when you order on Uber Eats, Grubhub, DoorDash, many times the restaurant is not making money. The margin in a restaurant is about, if you're good, 10%, 12%. I remember a long time ago, I was walking along with Tom Colicchio, and he asked me, say, Eddie, what's the margin on your restaurant? It was pretty good, man. Food cost is pretty good over there, huh? I was like, yeah, I hover between like somewhere between like 14 and 17. He's like, what are you talking? Are you serious? 14 and 17? I was like, I mean, like we squeeze every penny out of it. Like we're very judicious, and there's no waste in the restaurant. Like everything we trim off the pork belly for the bows, we make pork belly stew with. So I don't waste a single thing. He's like, you cross utilize everything. That's really good. So you keep your margins down. But I bring that up to say a restaurant only makes about 10 to 12% on each sale. If the delivery service is taking 30, that restaurant's taking L, like a huge L. And when we used to have delivery, what it was we pay a guy by the hour, probably somewhere between, $6, $7 an hour. It's below minimum wage because they get tips. But then that guy does, 5 deliveries an hour. He gets his tips. He's making about, probably somewhere 20, $25 an hour. And he's riding his bike around New York City. And people call the restaurant and they order that way. Now with the apps, it is great. You can sign on and you don't got to go through the menus in your drawer. You don't got to think about what to eat. It's all there. But the restaurants are getting killed. The people making money is these apps. And even the delivery people, I know a lot of people using apps don't want to tip them because they're like, I already just paid Uber $7 on this order. Now you want me to tip you another $7? Like, you crazy.
So true.
So these companies have to be held accountable. And we've shown we can live without them. We've lived without Uber before. We had taxis. But as you can see, what happens is when humans don't think about where they're spending their money and just run towards convenience, you lose your protection in these societies. Taxis were cheaper and they were around all the time, So you can stand on a corner and tell one to come now, and that's great, but it's more expensive. And in terms of food, man, these restaurants are dying. And if they lift the cap, because New York City did a really great thing, and I think LA was doing it at one point as well. They capped the percentage that the apps could charge, but the apps are suing the cities now to get rid of those caps and go back to their normal fees. And you know who wins? The apps. That's it. And we're going to lose our restaurants.
Oh man, see, this is why it's important to get people back in the restaurants and sometimes away from the apps.
Yeah, or just carry out. Like
carry out, yeah.
I go to this Jamaican spot in the Trally Art down the street over here by my house, and I will call and just go pick it up because I know then, the auntie in there, she's making the money. It's not the Uber, and there's no problem for me to walk over there.
Awesome, man. Eddie, I don't want to hold you up too much longer. I mean, I'm curious to know what you got working down the pipeline.
Well, we have an animated show we're in development with HBO on called Chinos that we're very excited about. We got a show called Chinatown Confidential at Amazon in development. We're very excited about. But more than anything, we have a second movie coming with some great partners, and hopefully we can announce that soon. So that'd be exciting.
All right. Looking forward to that. One final question, because it is the source, and I know you're a big hip hop fan. I gotta ask you, who would you want to see battle it out in the verses?
Oh man, I'm still so mad about the Dipset one, because
really,
Jewel really let Cam down. I mean, Jada and Styles was unstoppable. That was crazy. But let me think. What would be funny? I would love to see French Montana 50 Cent.
Okay.
Yeah. I know that's not like what everybody would be thinking, but like French Montana 50 Cent would be funny to me. I like the Clips, but I don't know who I would put up against the Clips. That's a tough one, but I love the Clips. Who else? But I just think it's funny because French and 50 beef all the time, and they both got a lot of club records, and I just think that would be a very Goonie versus. That would be fun.
I like that one. I like that one because it would be contracted styles, but it would make for a good encounter, kind of like Dipset and the Locks.
Yeah, it would be good. Exactly. That's the type of thing I want. I like that, like uptown energy. It's funny, All right. I enjoy that. So,
Eddie, man, I appreciate the time. Again, huge fan of your work, and continue everything you're doing. Much success to you.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it, man.
Great. Thanks so much, Eddie. Thank you, Jason. And Jason, hope you tune in on the 23rd to see Eddie's lively Mahjong video.
Absolutely.
Take care, guys. Have a great one.
Phil.
Have a good one.
Bye.